This healing Reinhardt build is hilariously strong. There is no tournaments for Stadium, but if there was, in coordinated teams, this Reinhardt build would be the #1 meta build for tanks. If you like being the upfront shield and impenetrable fortress as Reinhardt, kind of like that classic Reinhardt playstyle, then this is going to be the build for you to try. Oh, the combo! Nice ult, bro. Blocked it. What is going on, guys? My name is Guts and this is Gunberry Gaming. So before we dive into today's build, I'm going to go over why you should build today's build and also when you should build it, like the sort of matchups is good against. Alright, so why should you build a Reinhardt shield build? Should be pretty obvious. You know, if it's a shield build, if you like being the shield for your team, then it's going to be good. If you are simply just tired and kind of bored of the whole swing playstyle with just running in and swinging your hammer, bored of fire striking all the time and doing the fire strike build, and you just want to try something different, a support Reinhardt, then it's a fun build to try. And also, you know, if you're sick of going against like spam comps and like the meta, like, you know, Cassidy, Mercy, Freja, Mercy, Junkrat, all this spam bullshit that you go up against and you're like, man, I just get blown up in seconds. And you're like, you know what, instead of chasing them down, I'm just going to sit back, hold shield and make my own team stronger and they'll kill the range spam and I'll just sit there and be the support. You know, so it's, it's just a fun build to try when you put it that way. And when you should build it, the matchups is good against. So basically, if you're against an enemy Reinhardt who is going swing build, where he runs in and swings at you, then that is a situation where you don't want to build this build. Because I've tried that, and I've been the Reinhardt as well with the swing build, and the enemy guy's got the shield build, and you can just go and swing, you cleave the Reinhardt, you cleave his whole team, and they'll just die. But against every other matchup in the game that is not the Reinhardt swing build, against every other tank, against every other build they have, this is a very dominant build. It works very well. Also, when not to build the Reinhardt melee build is when your team are not playing with you, when they're not coordinating. This build really shines when people are coordinating with you and actually utilizing your shield and your healing. If people are not playing with you and they are just like off flanking by themselves, like for example, I've had games where I'm like, we have a soldier and we have a McCree. This is the perfect comp for people to utilize my shield, and we have a May, we have a Reaper, perfect comp to utilize my shield. But sometimes those people will just be off flanking alone by themselves and dying by themselves, and no one is actually there to use your shield, which kind of makes this build useless because the team either run over you because you're by yourself or they ignore you and kill your team. All right, now let's dive into the build. As always, I've created a saved build for you guys here, so if you guys want to use that, then I will leave the code up on the screen for a second, and the code will also be in the description of the video below. Round 1 comes along. We're starting off with the main power of this build, To Me My Friends. Now, this heals 5% of your max life every second for yourself and your allies around you. This is what builds the Reinhardt support build. This is sort of a safe power early game as well. It's one of Reinhardt's main good powers because it generates cash off of you healing, but also it allows you to test the waters with your team and see if your team is actually like a coordinated team. If no one is coordinating with you, if no one is actually standing behind your shield and using your shield, then by the time round 3 comes along, you can just swap to like a melee build or like a fire strike build or whatever you want to swap to. If the team is actually playing behind you and using your shield and actually utilizing your healing, then this allows you to continue with that build. Now, in terms of items, we go off with a weapon power, and then instead of attack speed, you actually want to go with the 10% lifesteal because this build doesn't have any lifesteal in it yet. So in those times that you actually need to swing, it allows you to sustain a bit with the lifesteal from your swings, and then some movement speed to go in and out of the fight. Round 2 comes along, and this is where people will tell you to sell everything and buy something like Phoenix Protocol for a faster regenerating shield and a sooner regenerating shield. While that is a good item and allows you to use shield a bit more, I don't think it's good enough. At this point, I think Reinhardt's best item is still Gloom Gauntlet. This allows you to sustain more, have more movement speed, and more melee damage. So in those times where you're not swinging, you can swing a bit more, and it also gives you 50 armor and scales your HP a little bit, so your As I said, your barrier healing scales off of HP. So with that extra HP, you also heal a little bit more for yourself and your allies. Now with the remaining cash that you might have left over, you can either go with movement speed, heartbeat sensor, or you can just fill it in with weapon damage and lifesteal. Now when round 3 comes along, this is when you get the main item that really makes this build strong. The problem with the build so far you might feel is you're not moving at the pace of your allies, and the enemy team is sometimes moving too fast for you to move away from them or at them. So round 3 comes along, you're going to get, first of all, Wilhelm Wagon. You move 30% faster with the barrier deployed, and then you're also going to get your power, your next second power, barrier construction. This allows you to get shield back, quite a surprisingly big amount of shield back when you hit rocket hammers, you're mainly your melee, and your fire strike. And as you can see, you move a fair bit fast, and this is going to allow you to move fast with your Reaper, with your McCree behind you. This is going to allow you to move faster, closer to the enemy, to get a quick swing off, to get your hammer, to get your shield back, and also you can just throw fire strikes from range to get your shield back. So if you are a Reinhardt that is very good with the spacing and moving in and out of the fight, then you're really going to shine well with this build. Round 4 comes along. This is where you get also one of the core items of the build, Overclocked Barrier. This makes your barrier way bigger, gives it more health, but also gives it more like kind of general size for your team to use and block damage with. Now, this is also the point in the game where you can also start counter building heavily, depending on what you're up against. So if you can afford it, or if you don't want counter overclocked barrier and you think you can just counter build instead, then you can get items like, say, if all the enemy team has weapon damage, you can get Crusader Hydraulics to block 10% weapon damage when you have armor. So basically you always heal up to where you have armor, and that allows you to swing a bit easier without taking extra damage. Or if they're not weapon damage, but they are like doing a lot of negative effects, maybe they have a Moira doing slows on you, maybe they have an Ana doing sleeps and anti-healing you. You know, if any sort of negative effects like that is coming your way, for example, I'll often go up against like Moiras who run the slow build with the orbs, and I'm just slow to all hell, then that is quite annoying, and also anti-heal to all hell. Then cushion padding is going to be one of your best go-to items, and that will allow you to kind of be more free and move a bit more without having negative effects on you. Round 5 now comes along, and this is where you can get one of the most fun powers, I think, on Reinhardt. Amplification Barrier basically turns your shield into a Baptiste ultimate, a walking Baptiste ultimate that looks like a very cool shield, I must say. And also when ally projectiles go through it, they do 15% more damage. This is what I'm talking about when, if you're a coordinated team, is so good because your team does so much damage. Now, items for round 5, you can kind of go a variety of different things at this point. In general, I recommend Von Wilhelm, because it increases your overall health by 15%, so you're going to do a lot more healing with your shield for yourself and your allies. However, if you don't want that, you can mix in a couple things. I would, in general, if you're not going to get Von Wilhelm, I would at least recommend Mecha Z for the health increase. But with that, you can mix in, for example, cushion padding if you desperately need that for the counter building to, let's say, an Ana or any sort of anti-healing and slows coming in at you. And then you could even mix that with Crusader Hydraulics or some weapon damage or anything else. Now round 6, at this point you definitely want to have Von Wilhelm for the extra HP, because you definitely want to be doing that extra healing for yourself and your team. On top of that, if you have enough gold, get Martian Mender. If you don't want Martian Mender, you can get Reduction Field for the damage reduction on yourself. This is really good when the enemy team has a lot of bullets coming at you, so say like a Narissa, a Moira with the orb constantly taking at you, a Zarya, a Diva, a Soldier, anything that has a lot of bullets hitting you, to maximize the stacks on Reduction Field for the maximum damage reduction, then this is really good. But apart from that, again, counter build if you need to. Now round 7 comes along. This is where you're basically just going to be full build, Reduction Field, Martian Mender, and that is it. That's you now at full build. You can swap out Overclocked Barrier for one of these other items, like Nebula Conduit, like Phoenix Protocol, or even anything else. You can even go weapon damage or something else, but I quite liked overclocked barrier, so I generally keep it for the bigger barrier, as I find that is quite helpful for the team. Now, in terms of powers, this is where like it can kind of get interesting, and you can kind of basically go whatever you want at this point. If you feel like you need some extra damage, you can go feel the burn, you can go smashing, you could even go like smashing with the extra movement speed and lifesteal, and instead swap out overclocked barrier for like a weapon jammer. That could help counter like, you know, weapon and attack speed builds on the enemy team, because it steals attack speed from them and it gives it to you. Another option, let me put on overclocked barrier again. Another option is Vanguard. It gives 10% of your max life to yourself and allies around you. It's kind of nice, but also I kind of don't like it because it's only like 120 HP to your allies and it only lasts 3 seconds. So I find like that's not too valuable, so I don't take it. If you like charging, you can take that. You can take a shield stampede also if you like charging. It puts up a barrier when you charge. However, if you just want to full on Unga Bunga into the shield build and make the shield build as powerful as possible, then this is quite funny. You can take Infusion Generator, and now you have, let's see what it goes to when it fully charges to the maximum. You have a 4,000 barrier, which is just hilarious. Now it's going to take 5 years for them to break your barrier, and whenever they do get close to breaking it, you can fire strike and you get like 500 barrier per hit back on your fire strike, and the same when you hammer strike as well. Alright guys, couple of final tips to finish this video off. When this barrier fully breaks, it goes on a cooldown, and you see I'm spamming the button for shield right now, but I can't use it until now. So when this barrier gets low, basically as soon as it gets to like 500, 100, basically just drop the barrier, do some fire strikes, do some swings, get the barrier back, and then put it back up instead of letting it break, because when it breaks, it goes on a long ass cooldown, and that can sometimes get you or your team killed. Finally, remember guys, you are the support for your team on this build. This Reinhardt, don't charge in like a maniac and die as I've seen some Reinhardts do. But yeah, anyways guys, that is the build. It's a very fun build. Hope you guys like it. Again, test it with a coordinated team. Don't test it with just anyone, because then you'll feel like you're useless in feeding. Anyways guys, that is the build video. If you guys liked this video or found this build helpful, then like the damn video and subscribe to this channel just for more content just like this. And also follow me on Twitch, because I will be streaming weekly on Twitch very soon. But yeah, peace. See you guys on the next one.